So part of the problem with the economy is the unresolved immigration issue. There are those of us who believe that by coming up with immigration reform and allowing these illegal immigrants that are working in our country to participate in Social Security, to buy homes, to be on the books, is really one of the economic shots in the arms that we could do for ourselves. It seems stalled. Senator McCain came out for it. Now he's against it. Is there any way to fathom that? Are we going to get a solution in immigration, or are we going to keep talking about a wall that is never going to really go up or do anything?
Well, I think that most Americans understand that immigration is a very important issue. It's a fundamental value. I mean, most of us, well, all of us are immigrants. My grandparents were the immigrants. You may have different family members that have been grandparents or maybe back a few generations, but we all came for the American dream. And that's why these people are coming here today, whether it's legally or illegally. Now, we don't want people to come here illegally. That's wrong, and most of our families did it the right way. So there's obviously a resistance to that. There are a lot of other, there's national security issues, there's just tracking, there's tax issues, there's a lot of expense issues associated with people if they're not documented while they're here. We do need to have a secure border, no question about that. It doesn't have to be the Great Wall of China, but it does need to be secure. It can be done with border patrols, technology, a lot of other things, and they're looking at all those things right now. And then we have to have a serious discussion. Either we want to recognize that employers, there's current law right now that says if you're an employer, you cannot hire an illegal alien. You cannot hire an illegal immigrant. People are doing it, and in lots of different businesses. And so we either have to say, let's enforce the law as it is, in which case you will dry up this labor supply, and these people came here to earn money and then either send it back home or do something else with it. They won't have a job. That's one direction. Or do what you're saying, which is recognize these people are here. I wouldn't give them citizenship. I don't believe in amnesty, but you can maybe create some type of status which allows them to pay taxes. We know who they are. We know where they're at. If they commit a crime, they're deported. All those kinds of things. These are variations that are being discussed right now. And I think that it will happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next few months, but it certainly is going to happen in the next year or so.
But you see the process as maybe not giving them amnesty, but do you see a process where they can earn citizenship?
I think there's a lot of resistance to that. I think that you don't want to reward people who have come here illegally. And citizenship is a big reward. It's a big prize. American citizenship is the prize of the world. People from all over the world want to come to this country for the American dream, and rightfully so. But we can't have an open door that everybody comes, and we have laws that say a certain number of people can come under these circumstances, under these laws. There are health issues, there are safety issues, there are security issues. So I think you have to have a law in place. Now maybe we have to revisit how we're doing it, but I don't think you want to be encouraging people to come in from around the world illegally and then in some form give them citizenship.
I'm going to go on to another testy subject, earmarks. Now you've spent your first term up in Washington. I make no bones about it. I think that it's an unconstitutional process, that I don't have my representation. I don't like the fact of not knowing who's putting on what expenditures after a bill is passed. Clay Shaw, who preceded you for 26 years, was in favor of earmarks. Now that you've been up there, have you changed your view on that?
Well, I haven't changed my view. I actually have the same view I had before, because we had the same process in Tallahassee. What we did this year at the beginning, and this is the right thing to do, is, and let me just explain what earmarks are. Earmarks are congressional appropriations that a member brings up. If I want the Port Everglades dredged, okay, and the department that oversees dredging has not created an allocation for that, I can bring that up as an issue. Now, what was really objectionable, and you're absolutely right, was these bridges to nowhere that came out of some backroom dealing at the last second and just thrown in there without any discussion or any public debate. Absolutely wrong.
Or even identifying who's putting on the expenditure.
Exactly. Who was doing it and all the rest of it. That's the wrong way to do this. Now, the right way to do it is to change the policy, which we did this year. It now requires any kind of appropriation that I request, and most of them, by the way, come from the cities and the counties and things like that, is that I have to publicly put on a piece of paper, sign it, disclose if there's any conflict of interest, disclose exactly what it is, and then I have to defend it publicly to the other 434 members of Congress, that this is why I want the Port of Palm Beach dredged or Port Everglades dredged, and I have to basically let that compete against everything else. So it's fully exposed to the light of day. and sunshine. And I think, and if you're going to have them at all, then that's the way to do it. I'm okay with dumping the whole thing and say don't do it. Keeping in mind the dumping of the whole thing, though, then gives all the authority to the executive agencies to decide how they want to do things under the president. So if you're happy with what the president and his view of things is going, that's fine. And otherwise, it's sort of many people believe it's a check and balance. But if you're going to do it the right way. Let the public have an understanding of exactly what you're debating.
One issue that's kind of tied to earmarks are lobbyists. And obviously the growth of lobbyists from the 1960s forward is tremendous. What's your view after being up for a period of time on lobbying efforts and how that's affecting legislation?
Well, I've absolutely supported changes in lobbying laws. We changed them this year. In Tallahassee, we had a number of years ago said you can't accept you can't go out for a fancy meal. Congress was way out of control. They were taking trips, they were going to fancy meals, and a whole lot of other things, which was just inappropriate. We changed the law now to say that a lobbyist cannot buy me a cup of coffee. I can buy him or her a cup of coffee, but they cannot buy me a cup of, and it's not the coffee or it's not the meal, it's just the appearance of the whole situation. Lobbyists are people that come and advocate a position. You could come up as a financial expert and say, Ron, this is something that's important to my industry. Here's why. You're lobbying me. Okay, you may not be a paid lobbyist, but you're a teacher comes and says, we need to change No Child Left Behind. Here's how to do it. That's an unpaid lobbyist, very effective. And by the way, those you and your teacher friend would be the most impressive people that come forward. Then there are the paid lobbyists that get paid a lot of money. They're hired by businesses, unions, corporations, all that kind of stuff, and they get paid. They're lobbying too. If you're a good representative, you take it all with a grain of salt. You obviously know where your good resources are, and that's how you play it out. But I think in terms of taking the money, reducing the effect of the money, I think that's a good thing.
Well, listen, I want to end off on one positive, with one positive question. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get back to Washington, assuming you're reelected? What's your #1 priority?
Well, I'm going to follow through on this National Risk Catastrophe Plan. If it doesn't get passed during this term of Congress, I'm going to go back and we're going to work on this thing, and I'm going to stand on my head until it gets passed, because this is very important to Florida and it's important to the rest of the country in terms of saving future dollars. I also believe very strongly, I'm involved in the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I'm heavily involved in our Western Hemisphere, that's Venezuela and Hugo Chavez, and also our Middle East policy, Iran and Israel and things like that. So I'm going to stay very active in those, and certainly welcome the public's contacting me and letting me know what they think about those issues as well.
Are we going to get a free trade agreement with Colombia?
I think it's going to come, yeah. Generally most of us support free trade, but you want to have an honest free trade. You don't want to have the opportunity for other countries to drop their products in the United States with no barriers, and then there are limitations in our businesses in our mainland United States and Florida not being able to get into those other countries. That's where we need to do it. But they're going to come. It's just got to be done the right way.
Congressman, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And I want to thank the viewers for joining us tonight. And next week we'll be discussing new approaches in money management. For more information on this show and other shows, please go to www.wxel.org with your questions and comments. I'm James DeGiorgia.
And I'm Jeff Garbaz for the Market Guys. Good night.
To receive a copy of your favorite Wealth and Wisdom episode, or if you have a question or comment about our program, please feel free to write us at Wealth and Wisdom, care of WXEL, P.O. Box 6607, West Palm Beach, Florida 33405. Or call us at 1-800-915-9935, extension 4477. We look forward to hearing from you soon.